Hi Flosstube friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Chantel and this is where I share my cross stitch and crafting. In this episode, I've got a continuation of the Halloween parade. We've got 12 more fully finished charts to share, and I'm going to do it in the same fashion I did last time. So what I'll do is I will give the number that will correlate to the number in the description box below, and then share the name of the chart, the name of the designer, and the model stitcher that stitched up, because a lot of these were done by the model stitchers. They're fabulous. They're so pretty. I'll share a funny story with you really quick before we get into it, but I had them all laying out on the table and was just kind of checking over them, looking, see if there's anything I could change or add, or, write down the notes of which one goes to which number, that sort of thing. And my granddaughter, Moxie, was over, and she's looking all of them, and she says, "Wow, Mama, your stitching is getting really good." And I had to laugh. I'm like, that's because I didn't do those. But anyway, she was trying to give me a compliment. She's a sweet girl. But the stitching is really good. Enough, long story short there. The stitching is really good. These gals have done amazing. It's so fun to get them and open them all in the mail. And I'm just blessed to be working with such a fabulous team. But let's go back to how the video works. Each one of them has a number. So I'll say like number 1, and it's this. It'll be the name of the chart, the designer who did it, and the name of the model stitcher. That will correlate to more information in the description box below. I am going to share more details though about each one of them here as I talk and show it to you, because I'm limited to 5,000 characters in the description box, and I noticed last time I had to delete a lot of information because I had too much. So I'm going to have to give you more information here in the video and then kind of pare it down in the description box. So there will be some basics down there. But in the description box, I will give you the measurements to each one of the press-on boards, so the back boards, and then the measurements to the actual boards are in our Etsy shop, so you can find those there. But all that being said, let's get started with the parade, huh? So number 1, we'll get started with that, is the chart is called Candy Corn and Pumpkin. The designer is Stitches by Ethel, and it was stitched by Michelle Stoner. This is the chart. I love this one. That's why I'm kicking it off with number 1. It was so precious. I found it at Stitches and Things when Lynne and I went over there for a day trip, and I just, oh my goodness. It's so cute. She did it on an even weave, and she used the called for colors. I've forgotten the name of the color of the fabric, but it's probably like a beautiful beige type of fabric. And oh, it's just pretty. I'm going to hold it closer so you can see her stitching. You know, that stitching that Moxie says is amazing. This is finished on what's called a cow tag, and it's the small cow tag in our Etsy shop. And I used the fabric on the back. I used Chelsea's Checks in orange and black. I also added a bow. This ribbon comes from Hobby Lobby, and some raffia, and a covered button at the top. The cow tag display board does come with a little circle that I painted black that glues on, so it's a layer for the top part. So you could hang this. And then I stained it using the Tim Holtz stain pads. So basically they're not stain pads. I use them like stain pads, but they're actual rubber stamp pads. And I have a collection of different browns. And so what I do, and there's a black, is I just basically rub it across the board and layer the colors on top of each other, and then add some black in with it as well. And it's just a really quick and easy way to stain the wood, because this wood, I'll show you the back, we use maple veneer. So you have actual wood that each board is cut out of, and it stains very nicely. You could use actual, real stain too, but like I said, I use those little rubber stamps because it's quick and easy. And then I do clear coat it with a spray clear coat. And I use Deft. I've used a couple other clear coats. I like to use a matte finish. Sometimes I've got like a semi-gloss, but I prefer matte finish. But like I said, that's on our cow tag, and it's Candy Corn and Pumpkin by Stitches by Ethel. And I just love it. The Next one, number 2, is Double Double from Prairie Schooler. And this was stitched by Amy Coates. And it is finished on a new board I'm adding in. It's the actual display board that went with the boo that has the ghost and the word boo, if you've seen that in a previous episode. And what I did was I took off the layers and just, what do I want to call that? I lasered the lines of the wood right into it. I do have an unfinished version of this that I'll share at the end of the video. At the end of the parade, I'm going to share the new releases, and I'll share this board up close then so you can get a better image of it. This is the medium size, but it had layers before, and I just took the layers off and just etched the wood grain look right into the wood so that it would be flat, so we could have more space for actually displaying the stitching. So this is just, like I said, it's a display board. It's your back piece. It's not always about all the things. It's just what's housing the stitching, because on this one the stitching is super fun. You know, that Prairie Schooler. I don't know. This is a piece that was a personal piece of Amy's that she sent in to be stitched and shared with you all. So I really don't know what fabric she used, but it's kind of a brownish black floss with an orange. So I used Chelsea's checks again in the back on that press board, and then that same ribbon that's at Hobby Lobby with a covered button. I like the simplicity of it, just letting the monochromatic stitch stand out. Number 3 is a pillow set. Lynne Nyberg did these, and she is an assistant that works with me on Wednesdays with, you know, just housekeeping things and stuff around. Not housekeeping. She doesn't clean my house. She does more maintenance stuff with model stitchers and paperwork and things like that, getting things into the Etsy shop. And she grabbed our chart that we had here from Brenda Gervais, Jack-O-Lantern Jubilee, and did 3 of them from the chart and did them into these pillow finishes using sawdust for the stuffing. So let me bring that up so you could see. She did it on beautiful beige and used the called for colors. She did omit the French knots for the eyeballs on the spiders and opted to use some beads. But I love the way the white is showing up on beautiful beige. So that was fun to, you know, I hadn't used a lot of beautiful beige, and we had picked some up, and it's nice to see. I'm still learning. I'm fairly new to all that, so I'm still learning like what colors look good on which fabric, that sort of thing. It's hit or miss. I've made some mistakes, but this gives you an idea for the size of that pillow. She's adorable. I mean, she is just super adorable. So that's the witch part of it. And then she also did Trick or Treat from that same book. Did this cute little finish around the edge. Oh, let me show you the back fabrics that she chose. So it's a very soft color palette, kind of in the browns and black. I really like that. And then she also did the little pumpkins with this gingham on the back. The little pumpkins in the wagon. And stuffed it again with sawdust. She did the little stitches on that wagon are so cute. And see the pretty variation in the floss. So I know she did use variegated floss and then little beads again for those spider eyes. So thanks so much, Lynne. She's on vacation right now, but she dropped those off, you know, so we could see them and she could share. I think that was super special. Include that into the parade. Number 4 is from a designer, Scissor Tail Designs did the chart, and it's called Halloween Party Signs. These were done by, I'm going to show you this. There's 3 of them in this chart, and I put them on our chunky blocks. They were stitched by Laurel Kendrick, and again, I finished them. They're on the 3.5 by 5 chunky blocks using Chelsea's checks as the back fabric. And I cut the board, the press-on board, the same size as the block. But that's Witch's Brew this way. I love the border around that. These were done with the called for colors on a 14 count Aida. And this one, what's that one say? Sorry. Scaredy cat? What's the top? Oh, don't be a scaredy cat. I couldn't read it backwards. Don't be a scaredy cat. Is on that block. And I'm going to show you the third one, and then I want to talk to you about the paint on this. The third one in the series is Enter If You Dare, Masks Required. Let me bring the stitching in so you can see that. It's also finished on the orange and black Chelsea's checks on the background. And I showed you this little display stand before. It is our square chunky block. You can see the chunky block here, mounted on top of this candle stand base that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. Let me show you the style number. Oh, maybe it's not focused. There you go, maybe. Anyway, it's $12.99, but of course, you know, you can always get it on sale. And this is what it looks like. Sorry, there is another piece. There's like a, I took it off. See, it's got this little metal tray to hold the candle when you see it in the store. So what you're going to do is just take that off, and it just kind of unscrews right off. You might want to give it a twist at Hobby Lobby first to make sure that it's going to come off, you know, so it's not like glued in there or something, because that'd be frustrating to get it home. It's already in this whitewashed look. You could paint it a different color if you wanted to, but this is where I just glued then the block right on top of that. So I'll show you with the other block, you know, just right like that. And you'll want to use a wood glue, but you can see they're really close in size. Yeah, I didn't paint the bottom. But glue it right on and use a wood glue for that. And that will raise it up, but obviously it'll raise it up. So you've got this stand. Then I used one of our corner corner ghost charm. The ghost charm is cut specifically so it will fit on top of a block. This little guy is going to fit on, you know, there's lots of frames at Hobby Lobby that are chunky and thick. Other frames or other blocks. I mean, these are, you know, they're cut out of. So if you have another block, there's those blocks that Michaels has a lot of those blocks. The little corner charms are going to fit on those too. And what I do is I just run some glue and just glue it right on. So there's no slot for it or anything. It just glues right on top of there. And then to cover and hide the transition between where the block is glued to the candle stand base, I made this loopy bow, I call them. That's a Chantel loopy bow. And it's a variety of other, you know, like skinny little wired ribbon is what I like to use for the loopy bow. And then just tied it on with some twine. So that kind of, you know, disguises the transition point between them. Now you can see this isn't exactly square. So that's what I liked about it for this one, is that it's at the top part of it so that the loopy bow can come up and kind of fill this bottom but not cover up the stitch. So if I can hold them all three together, I'll show you how they go together. There we go. So like I said, this is from Halloween Party Signs. All three charts come together. Laurel Kendrick stitched these. And they're super precious. Now, I told you I'd talk to you about the paint. The paint on this one, I just use spray paint on this, okay? But the base coat of the spray paint is a texturized spray paint. So I don't remember the name of it, but I will link it in the description box for you. So underneath this number 4 will be the link to this type of spray paint. But it basically spits it out, and they call it stone finish, I believe. And it just spits out all this like chunky spray paint, right? And it's white, and you can get it in different colors, but it's kind of a cream color. So I sprayed the block first with that chunky texturized spray paint. Then I let that dry, which it takes about a day to dry. So you want to let that dry overnight. Then I sprayed black spray paint over it, which spray paint is expensive right now. It just jumped up in price. So I think I'm going to be using more of the chalk paint over it, because that would have gone over just as easy. I was just being quick, so I grabbed spray paint. But I hit spray paint. Then once that was dry, I took my little sanding pads that I have and just sanded right through the spray paint to the texture of those little bumps that I sprayed on first. So that created that fun little speckle finish. And I just stressed these. All the blocks were done the same way, and I just stressed them really heavy because I like a heavy distressing, especially Halloween stuff is really lends itself to that real heavy distressed look. And that's just done with sandpaper. I like to use a 120 grit when I do distressing. So that was number 4. Number 5 is Kettle Lantern by Luminous Fiber Arts. This was stitched by Model Stitcher Polly Morgan. Thank you so much, Polly. This is on our tall house using a spiderweb charm from one of our charm packs. And I did the same, I'm going to bring this in. I did the same paint technique. You can see it much more dramatic on this one, where I sprayed the house with the white spitty stone spray paint first. Then I did the black spray paint, and then once it was all dry. So, but you have to let the white spray paint dry completely first, then the black spray paint goes on. Once that's dry, you can sand it, distress it, and let the speckles pop through. I also sanded the edges very heavily, added that little spider web up in the corner. I matted this using the stitching stripes from Stitching with a Housewife's fabric and the Chelsea's checks, the orange and black. Now you're hearing me say that a lot because I use that fabric pretty consistently throughout, and there's a couple reasons why. One of them is because, well, there's a basic reason of availability. You know how fabrics, like fabric lines, will come in and they're really cute and adorable. You can grab a bunch of it, but then it's going to be discontinued and you're not going to have it again. Well, the checks and the Priscilla's plaids and the stripes, they're not discontinued. At least they haven't been so far. So you can continue to get them, which is nice. So you've got that cohesive look in your items. And that's the next point I'm going to make, is that it does create a nice cohesive appearance even when your charts are from different designers and the floss is a different color. You might paint your display boards even differently, but because they have that similar fabric for the backing, it kind of ties your look together. So you can see how those will complement each other in my Halloween decor, but they're completely different designers and different shirts. So that's why I like to use that type of fabric in a lot of different things. And so like I said, that's on that tall standing house. This comes with 3 pieces. There's a base and then these trim pieces at the top. This web does not come with it. That is sold separately in another charm pack. Number 6. Oh my gosh. Okay. I gotta roll up my sleeves for this one because they're all my favorites, you guys, but this one might be my absolute favorite. I just love the way this one turned out. Okay, this is Halloween. The chart is from Primrose Cottage Stitches. It's stitched by Allison Norris, and it is on our plaid display board. Check it out. Okay, we're gonna park on this one for just a minute, guys. Okay, it's stitched with the called for colors. I can start there. The fabric, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's a 32 count even weave. I know that much, but I know Allison likes to stitch on smaller counts. So this is smaller than if it had been a 14 count. It's going to fill this plaid frame out a little bit more. It is on our plaid frame. There's 3 pieces to the plaid frame. There's frame pieces. This black piece that you're seeing here is an overlay, and then the back board that's white is another board. So I painted that board white, I painted the overlay black and the frame pieces black, distressed them, and then glued all 3 layers together. I've not painted the sides, so you can still see. I will come back and paint this all black so that they match, but you can see the 3 layers right there. Then this is like my favorite. I hate to say things like I'm obsessed, but I guess I'm obsessed, okay, on this one. I did what I'm going to call a scrappy backer, scrappy press on board, I guess. Scrappy something. It's scrappy, and I'm loving it. What I did was I took this width of a press on board with that, and then added orange fabric onto that part of it. Then I cut another scrap piece out that was the same and added this few inches on, matted that one in Chelsea's checks. This gave me 2 different colors for my backer board, but I didn't layer it 3 times. Am I making sense? You see my aha moment here? Then what I did was I laid them next to each other, and on the back, I glued them together. And the way I glued them together was I took some of the fabric that I cut off of this when I trimmed it down, and I glued it on the seam. So that seamed these 2 pieces together. But both pieces are completely finished and wrapped around the way you wrap fabric around your press-on boards. Then I took the rickrack and on the front went over the seam on the front. Then I popped that on. So that gave me my scrappy backer board. So this is our display board. This is our backer board. And this is Chelsea's checks, some rickrack I got out of the Primrose Cottage rickrack bundle. And then this is also some orange fabric that I bought from Primrose Cottage that I liked with it. And then their chart is called This is Halloween. And I'm so happy with this. I hope you like it, Allison, because you did a fabulous job with the stitching, and this will be going back to you. So I hope you like it. I do. You might not get it back. I might steal it forever. But no, I'll send it. I'm kidding. So that was number 6. Number 7 is a Dapper Doodad, Happy Halloween by Stitching with the Housewives, and it was stitched by Shahina Fredericks, and it is mounted on our freestanding square frame. This little display board has a base, and then this fits right in and notches together so that it gives you this nice square surface for square finishing, and the Dapper Doodad series fits on it. A lot of other squares fit on it, and the measurements are in the description on our Etsy shop. She did use the called for colors on this. It is on 14 count black Aida, and the back board, the press-on board, is covered with Chelsea's checks in black and white. Love it. I believe this was from last year. Number 8 is one you've maybe seen me working on. I've shared it. On Fridays, I do a live stream at 2 o'clock. So if you want to join me on Fridays, it's casual. We just hang and chat with each other. And I show you, on Fridays, I show you my whips and the other things that I'm working on, because these are just full finish episodes. But I've been working on Witch Beulah from Finally a Farm Girl. I did get her finished up last week, and then I had a lot of choices that I was batting around for a full finish on her. I was going to maybe put her on the haunted house, because we've got a small haunted house that would look cute. And I was going to put her on some other boards, maybe just a simple board like the Pallet board. But what I did was I landed on the roadside stand, and she fit really nicely into the roadside stand with this cute little sign that I cut that says "The Witch is in," and then a tiny little spider. I just love it. So this is found in Chrissy's shop, Finally a Farm Girl, on Etsy. I used the called for colors, and I stitched it on some fabric that I had dyed myself. It's 14 count, and I dyed it using the Bungalow 47 paint. So I mixed black paint into some water and created a wash, then just dunked my fabric in there, pulled it out, and let it dry. And it's gray. It's hard to see in the lighting here, but it's gray. Then I added a tassel right here. I've seen some versions of Beulah where they will actually get a little wooden broom from, I think it's from Hobby Lobby, and add it there. And if ever you're looking for more inspiration on things, I find that it's always good to go find the hashtags for these. So you might want to look for a Finally a Farm Girl hashtag and things like that, because other people are always sharing on Instagram what they're doing with it. And so that way you will see the broom idea and different ideas like that. The space that is cut out for this is an overlay, so there's 2 pieces for the roadside stand, the back and then the little stand itself, and it has this area for cutting. And what I did was I filled that whole area with some press-on board that I covered in the purple and black from Chelsea's checks. Then this orange was from a packet from Michael's of just some scrappy ribbons and things like that. It's about $10. You find it at Michael's. It's a big, huge thing of trims and things like that. So I layered that cording around in the back, and that was it. That was my finish. But I feel like she can be my little, she's like Lucy from the Peanuts, and she's my little consultant, the witch is in. I can sit and maybe go tell her my woes of my day. But anyway, she's cute. I liked her. That was a fun one to do. Good job, Chrissy. I like your charts are very adorable. Now, we're going to get into some finishes that are done on some new releases from our 141 Design Company shop. I've got some new display boards that we cut last week. These were all on display boards that are currently have been in our shop. I just like to show you how each one is different and how you can use a board that maybe you've seen already before done up a different way, and it can fit another chart and do it for Halloween. It can be done for Christmas. That plaid board is very versatile for a lot of different things. But number 9 is done on a new board that we're just calling it our square shiplap frame. And this one, oh my gosh, this is done by model stitcher Terry Meeham. And she was so gracious. She whipped this out. She's got it from the Primrose Cottage Sip and Stitch, I believe it's called. I didn't get that. I didn't jump on it in time, so I missed it. But I've got the charts coming, so I will have the charts available in our Etsy shop soon. But she got it, and she stitched it, and she sent it to us like, I don't know, like lickety split. She was super quick. This is Home Sweet Haunted Home by Primrose Cottage Stitches. And like I said, it's stitched by model stitcher Terry Meeham. And it's on a new frame display board in our shop that's called the Square Shiplap Frame. This is the large. I painted the frame in just black. And this is the overlay piece that goes right around it. It's got these little cutouts like mimicking shiplap to it. I'll show you the back. Doesn't go all the way through. I do have it unfinished. We're going to talk about the new releases here as soon as we're done with the parade. And I finished it. Now this does not, the inset for this is square, okay? But the stitch, it didn't finish out as square. It's rectangular. So I just kind of weighted it down at the bottom of the square, leaving some empty space up here at the top, which then I filled with a messy bow. So that's one of my Chantel messy bows. I made that messy bow using all of those things from that bundle pack I talked about from Michael's. Those are, like I said, they're about $10. I don't know if maybe I shared the price. And there's a lot of different trims all in there. I also got a trim pack from Primrose Cottage, which I'm going to give you a little bit of a review real quick. The Primrose Cottage charm pack had pom-pom fringe in it, had zigzag with it, a lot of ribbons. The quality, it was more expensive, but the quality is amazing. The quality of this stuff from Michael's is not so amazing. It's okay, but it's not as good as what they sent. So I'm not sure. I'm on the fence with this. I had to do a lot of fray check stuff on it because once you cut them, all of them just like frayed all over the place. So you can see, which is kind of fun for Halloween. You can get away with frays and spark, like imperfections and funness. But you might want a little more crisp look for another holiday. So for Halloween, it was great. It's kind of a fun messy bow. There is a cover button in there somewhere. There it is. In the center with the Chelsea's checks. And again, this one is finished. This one is Priscilla's Pretty Plaids, the larger plaid version in the purple and black. And then the stitching stripes fabric. It's on a 14 count Aida. Terry stitched it. And it's just so cute. And then I colored in some little nail head trim around that just to give it a little extra something. There it is. Ta-da! Brand new board from 141 Design Company, and I love the versatility of it. So you may see multiple sizes for this one because as I'm playing with it, I keep finding more sizes that are needed. So that's one of the nice things I love about all this finishing that I can do because I can identify where our size gaps are. Now, number 10, so that was number 9, Home Sweet Home. So the details on that one will be there. We're going to talk about that board here in a little bit again. Number 9 is a Dapper Doodad. It's called October 31st by Stitching with the Housewives. It was stitched by Cindy Griggs, and it is on the same board in the medium size. This does not have, I didn't do any trim on, any nail head circles on this one. So this is just plain. And I painted it the same way with that textured spray paint, the back piece, and then sprayed it black, distressed it through, painted the overlay frame piece white, matted it on Chelsea's checks in black and white, and it's done on 14 count black Ada using the called for colors. This chart is, I believe, from last year, October 31st. So that's on that same board in the medium size. Number 11 is the same board in the small. So this is the small size, and I stitched this. Oh, isn't it so cute? Okay, these are the 9 patch series from Primrose Cottage. This is October's 9 patch. And I just matted it. It's about 3.5 inches, I believe. I did do it on beautiful beige, 14 count, so that white would show. It's getting a little washed out here, but I do think it shows pretty good. And the little ghosts and things. I painted the overlay color in terracotta tile from Bungalow 47 paint. And the back is Farmhouse Sink white, so it is the bright white. And then just distressed it. I did, with all of the chalk paint paints, I do spray them with a clear coat finish. So there's a matte clear coat over that. And as you can see with this one, I did not mat it with any fabrics. I just finished it right up to the edge and just popped it right in there. So it's small. See? It's cute. And it's one of those 9 patches. So I have all the other 9 patches that are in the works and going, and I'm going to just do each one of them separate. I'm not swapping this out because I liked that I could paint this to kind of look like the candy corn in there. Paint this board to kind of match this one. So I'm just going to do each one of them individually and glue them right. Actually, I didn't swap anything out. No magnets today. It's all just part of the thing. So now our final board for today, it's number 12. And it is also a new board. And this is Toil and Trouble. I think maybe a lot of you are in the stitch along that Primrose has been doing with Toil and Trouble. But it's Toil and Trouble by Primrose Cottage Stitches. It's stitched by Wendy Kolodzinski from our model stitchers, and it's on a new board. We're just going to call it the Toil and Trouble board. Here it is. So last time I shared a board that had just a broom. That's a small board. And I shared one with just a hat. Can you see that okay? Let me put this kind of black. So see the hat at the top and the broom pops up like this? This board incorporates both of those plus a little web overlay. And it has Toil and Trouble on it over here off to the side. Let's talk about it. I'll break it down. Again, the board is an overlay. There are 2 pieces to it. The black that I painted is one piece, and then there's a rectangular board for the back piece. The style of painting, that is a paint job that's on that piece that I did, is called a linen texturizing paint job. I tried to get into the Facebook group room to do a thing with that. Had some trouble this last week, so I'm running a little behind, but I am getting to this linen texture tutorial very soon. Okay, so but that's done. A quick description of it, because I'm sure many of you can handle just doing it. It's the easiest paint technique in the world. You take a chip brush, which are those cheap brushes you can get for like maybe $2 at Hobby Lobby, right? It's a chip brush. And you're going to dab it into some paint, knock off most of the paint, and you're going to dry brush one direction. It's called cross hatching as well. Dry brush one direction, then drag it through the other way. You're going to blend colors. So I blended, this is just white, and it's Farmhouse Sink and Metal Roof is the colors. I just blended the grays and just kept doing that over and over and over again until I had it filled into where I liked it. But it's just a dry brush technique. This way, that way. I like my sound effects. Anyway, so it's really easy. Give it a try. It uses very little paint, which I love. So it's very conservative on your paint. And let me try to bring it in. I did it on the other boards before in purple. And I did the truck this way. It's just a kind of a go-to technique for me. Now the Toil and Trouble, I've used a gray and black gingham that came in a fabric bundle from Primrose Cottage. Then there's another layer back there that is the orange and black Chelsea's checks. Then that pom-pom fringe came out of the trim bundle I got from Primrose Cottage. And it's done on beautiful beige using variegated floss on our Toil and Trouble board. So that wraps up the parade of all of the new items. And now I'm going to show except for one more. I just saw it. This is a different kind of cross stitch. It's a collaboration of sorts. It was for my grandkids, okay? It was some little monsters that I found the little file for the little monsters and decided to go ahead and put some cross stitch holes in them so that the grandkids, the grandbabies, my little people, could stitch them up and color on them. This is a set that I painted. They just colored them and then they're playing with stitching them. But they're these little guys. And they're our little spooky crew. There's a ghost. I'll bring it in. And, okay, this is stitched with the called for colors. It's just white. Okay, I don't know what white it is. But I painted him white. I did some edging around him. And then I stitched it with some floss. Use the loop method, so all 12 strands of 6 strands, so 12 strands get stitched in there. Uses a lot of floss, so you just want to use the color that you got laying around or some extra, but get a skein of it or whatever. But this is just white. And there's a ghost in the pack. There's a little black cat in the pack. And you could also stitch him with yarn. You don't have to use floss. This cute little mummy. Stitched him with gray. Our Frankenstein, some random green floss. I'll even show you my back. We're going to call this stitch count maybe like 0. It's gigantic, but it's so fun. And then the pumpkin, he's just an extra little something, but he doesn't have any stitching. Yeah, I just put a bow on him. He's just to go with the crew. So here's the little spooky crew. And they're in the shop if you want to grab some for your little people in your life, or if you just want to stitch some up yourself and stick them on a backer, you know. But they're new design from, I guess I designed them. So that's a new cross stitch exclusive. Woo, you saw it here first. Anyway, they're just for fun. I have fun with those things. It's fun to add a few things for them to participate in and go and do those different things. So thanks so much for joining me. But now if you want to take off, you know, that's the parade is done. That's all the finishes. Now I'm going to take a few minutes to break down the details of the new releases that we had in the shop that are in there now, so you can see them unfinished. I'll show it to you finished and then unfinished. First, let's talk about this shiplap frame. Like I said, this is the little shiplap frame. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I thought I'd show them to you unfinished. I don't always bring them out here to show. But this is what it looks like undone. And so when you order it, you'd order, this is the small shiplap frame with a square opening. It's about 3.5 by 3.5. You'll get both layers. A lot of sawdust on that one. We do sand them all because you'll see there's burn marks to the edges. I left, here's the, in the witch's inn, there's burn marks left on that. I left it because I thought it was kind of cool on that one. But we do sand all of your pieces for you before sending them out. And there's 2 pieces. So you can paint the whole, this piece one color, this piece one color, glue them together using wood glue. I like to use Tight Bond, Quick and Thick, for the wood glue that I like to use. And I do a score line from the laser to help you with lining it up so that you, when you glue it together, you don't get it off here and you kind of know where that's supposed to go. So there it is in the small, in the medium, which this is about a 5.5. The dimensions are in the Etsy shop. The medium, again, both pieces, and the large, both pieces. I just think this is a fabulously wonderful, versatile piece and display board to have in the shop. And I hope that it helps you with some of your pieces as well. Now, double, let's go back to that. This was the double finish. Was on just a plain board. This is a very simple, basic board. And I had it in the shop with layers. So this piece here was layered on top. But it was uneven for actually putting a finish on. So I just put it all together. So it's literally just one board with, this is our pallet sign board. With that, it's cut out. And then the wood grain is etched right in there. You will have other wood grain. Various things. There's natural wood grains to the maple, but this comes in 3 sizes as well. There is a small, which this is just to give you a scale. This is a good size this way, you know, but there's a small. Double that I showed you was on the medium, so that's the medium. And then there's a larger board. So you've just got boards for, it can go this way too. This is a natural knot that was in the wood. Didn't get scored in there, so that won't be on all of them. And those are also available. Very economical, great basic board for doing a lot of things, and you can see how it supports the stitching. It's not all about always having to be, the board has to be something. The board sometimes should be just in the background supporting your work. And then the Toil and Trouble board looks like this. Undone. 2 layers, so it's a very easy paint. Do this all one color. You could do this in purple. It would look cute, purple or green as the overlay. And then on mine, I added some rickrack around, whoops, there, up on the top. And then the baseboard is this big. It's huge. So this is really nice if you want to maybe decoupage some fabric onto it. You could have a whole different color on your background and decoupage some fabric or do some other things. One tip I want to give when you're painting with, if you don't spray paint this, okay, you're painting with like a water-based paint, which Bungalow 47 chalk paint is a water-based, okay, or even the acrylic-based paints and things like that. When you have such big pieces, it's not a smaller piece like this, it's always a good idea to paint both sides because then it stabilizes the board to keep any warping from occurring. For the most part, you shouldn't have a bunch of warping anyway, but if you add a lot of water to these, like if you're doing a heavy wash, I would go very little water on these types of things. You could see it kind of twist a little bit, and you don't want that because you want your layer to glue, and I just use wood glue again to glue right up. This is not, you're not gluing wood pieces together with glue guns. You're gluing it together with wood glue. So that will be, you'll have a nice tight fit then to make sure on the larger pieces. Paint both sides. To hang them on your walls, I will be adding into the shop some hardware. That's just some wood pieces, so be looking for that. It is not there yet. I'm working on getting those finalized, so there will be some hardware as well. But those are our updates for today. Thank you so much for joining me. And I just am having such a great time, you guys. The model stitchers have been such a huge help, and I want to thank each and every one of you. If you have some suggestions for me, I'd love to hear your comments in the comments below. So please share. I have been working really hard to read them. If it's just a heart, it means I did read it. I'm working really hard to read your comments because I just really enjoyed communicating with all of you and seeing your names and getting to know some of you online. It's so much fun. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we'd really appreciate it if you go ahead and subscribe to this, because then you're going to be notified when I have future parades that are coming up. Tutorials are also in the works, so you'll be notified of when the tutorials for, say, the loopy bow is coming, the messy bow tutorial is coming. I feel a scrappy binding, not scrappy binding. It's kind of like scrappy binding. A scrappy backerboard tutorial is coming so that I can do a tutorial on how to put your boards together back here to create a little scrappy backerboard look. All sorts of things, as well as paint finishes and things like that. So be sure to subscribe so that you get notified when all of that is coming as well. And give us a like. If you go look at Fridays, there's a giveaway for the set for Beulah. And I will sign off and thank you once again for joining me. Bye, guys.